Hello everybody, this is Make It Better, and today we're doing With Deku Had the Red Thread of Fate, Part 9, I believe. The week off, I pretty much was thinking about it, and I had a lot of stuff to do, so I can't really excuse myself. I injured myself already. So yeah, but let's get into it. Zuko, I don't remember exactly where I left off, so I'm going through it right around this area. Zuko pretty much is passed out at this point and being so exhausted and was taken to the hospital. Everybody else was taken to the hospital as well to get themselves checked out. Zuko was mostly extremely tired from what he has done during the fight. And Zuko, when he woke up, he was just like gripping on one of his hands, tired and tired. Sorry. And Stuyu asked Zuko, "What are you doing?" Zuko pretty much is still looking at his hand and just like and gripping it, opening it and then gripping it again, and just saying, "I could have, I could have," and so you pretty much knock him out of it. Oh, sorry. Oh, what were we talking about? So you asked him, what were you doing with your hand? And Deku said, "Oh, well, I was fighting someone against us. I was protecting Koda, and I had a chance to do something, but I just can't. Not again." What he's talking about is right now is when he was getting completely crushed by Muscular's arm, and Koda pretty much distracted him. He had a chance to pull his life string and break it. He was thinking of doing that, but he couldn't bear himself to kill another person, even if they were a villain, even if they were going to kill him. He just can't do it. But in the hospital room, everybody was told by Aizawa and tell them that I'm going to do something a little different. I know this is a little early, but I want to do it at this point. Aizawa would come in and tell everybody, and they're planning on doing a dorm system. Too many villains have been coming in and attacking the UA. So they're putting in the place of a dorm system. So that scene of everybody getting met with their teachers and parents, it does happen. Just without Bakugo. Not sure what I do. Midoriya and Inko did the same thing when All Might and Aizawa came in. Sorry, been a while. So everybody's getting into the dorms and putting up their stuff, setting up the rooms. Zuko actually asked Bakugo's mother if he could do his room for him, since they were pretty good friends now. She said okay. She pretty much agrees to it because she's friends with Inko, so of course. So it's going to look kind of the same, but Baku will get mad, of course. It's still a little awkward for Zuko. For Zuko, it's not that bad. He goes into Bakugo's room, do some stuff, and then leaves. But everybody else, it seems a little awkward, thinking that Bakugo is taken and we're just doing all this without his permission. And Uraka, she actually taps on Zuko's shoulder as he's taking some books in his room, asking if she could help. Zuko said, "Yeah, that's fine. Come on." And so they're just pretty much unpacking the stuff and putting it up to where it should be. And Zuko said, "Oh, Uraka, come here." And the king go close to a corner. And Zuko said, "This is for your eyes only. No one else's. You're not allowed to tell anyone. Is that cool with you?" And she said, yeah, but what are you doing?" Azuka said, "Well, you know how you say who's your soulmate?" And he's kind of like messing with his fingers. And he said, "Well, you're in his room." Kind of smiling. And she's kind of blushing and didn't expect it, but she is starting to think of all the good qualities that he does have. He's good at cooking. He's good at a lot of things. Ah, dang. Oh, dang, so dirty over here. And Zuko said, "Hey, Uraka, come back," and because she's right now floating in the air in his room, she got back down and said, "Yes, Deku, or Zuko," and Deku pretty much said, "That is his a secret stash, and I believe this one is his favorite book. By any chance, do you know it? And it's going to be a romance novels, because in the anime it does not say, but it showed a glimpse of what kind of books he reads. If you guys can't find it, then try look for a little closer." Um, and she's kind of surprised that she see this kind of book in his room, and she started reading it. And Zuko said, "But you can take it in your room, just don't tell anybody. Cool?" And she said, "Yeah, yeah." And she's still trying to read some of it, and it seems pretty good. And Zuko actually tapped on her shoulder and said, "Oh, one more idea. This will actually make him a lot happier. Um, when he does come back, and he is going to come back, slowly but surely, make sure he sees you reading it and reenact some parts in the novel, only with him. It would be perfect. Trust me." So she's kind of blushing and not sure what scenes she should do in this book. But she's reading it and seeing that it's pretty a normal book. Sorry guys, I just can't really thinking of anything right now. Uh, so that's been going on. Uraraka been reading a bunch of his books, his favorite books right now, for that week. But the next week came in, and they were told that their heroes are invading the villain space. So Kirishima pretty much told everybody, "Let's go and save him." Most of them are against it because the heroes are going to go do it. But Zuko stood up and said, "I'll go. I need to do something." And well, he said that in as quietly, he, whispering, saying, "I need to do something." But he pretty much stand up and said, "I'm going." So they're making a plan, and Momo and Ida it comes up and said, "We'll help." Momo, as you know, in the show, she has the tracker, so she can have it a feedback. Yeah, he's there just to make sure everybody is there safe, nothing bad will happen to them. And Todoroki just come along to make sure and no one else, and just for the heck of it. So they still have the same group as in canon. So they don't do that scene of everybody getting in disguise, but they do go in with some mostly black clothes on. Let's move on to Bakugo's point of view. Bakugo is pretty much beaten. I know it doesn't show in the anime, but for me, he was beaten mostly by Toga and Twice. Well, it's a little bit of Dobby, but his fights doesn't really affect him since every little bit of flame on him, it makes a big explosion. Since his sweat always keep on. So Dobby stay away, and Toga and Twice is just like messing with him, playing some other games, kind of like being psychopaths, but like they play actual games. And Bakugo just gave them some nicknames, say crazy hair and half and half. Yeah, just to keep him insane. So, sorry, I was just like thinking way too far ahead. But he's been doing that all this time, for he can feel somewhat safe, but he knows he's gonna be safe. He just feels something. And Zuko, let's move on to their scene. I don't know how to do this. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. Still can't think of anything. So let's get back to. They're actually getting really close to where Zuko, Baku is. They're like few blocks away, and Zuko had an idea. How about he turn on his quirk and see if he can find his string? So he's looking for it, but it's in the alley right now. They're in the alley. And everybody's asking, can you find him? Can you see him? And Zuko said, no, not yet. Um, and he turned on his quirk, this time where the area effect, so everybody around him can see it. So it's about 2 yards. So they're looking around, trying, like, they pluck it, and Zuko said, don't pluck, just touch. So they're kind of like have their hands connected, or they are on touching shoulders, so they can see just a bit of the person. And there's kind of like information. Everybody's gonna see it. And Todoroki, he actually touched one and found Bakugo. And Zuko says, "Where is it?" And they're looking down the train, the line of hands, and then see that Todoroki has found him. Zuko says, "Okay, good." And so they follow the line, and it goes to their base. Zuko sees this and start messing with it, because when he messed with a string, it messed with the person's minds, and it will say something depending on the string. And Zuko's pretty much like hitting it 3 times. And Bakugo is getting this information saying, "We are gonna save you." So he just got give a smirk and talk back to the villains, as pretty much telling them that I'm tired of these games. As he's tied up. Dang, I need a haircut. And right at that moment, they hear a knock, and pizza delivery is here. They were getting a little confused on who ordered the pizza, but Toga pretty much opened the door and see All Might doing a freaking smash at her in the whole room. And Bakugo is kind of like happy he's there. And All Might pretty much like taking care of the villains. And most of them are knocked out right now. And Best Genius, he'll be there as well. He'll be right behind him, like try to tie them up. And he caught two villains, and one got away, and everybody else got away. But the two villains he caught, he pretty much is they're completely knocked out and like taking them to the police car. So everybody else got away, but those two. And Bakugo is still in the crossfire. He was also transported as well in that scuffle, I guess. And at this point, it's just a block away. And All Might knew this, saw them that they're a block away, and jumping over there. Two jumped in, and here comes one for all. No, all for one. Sorry. And so they're doing their fighting. And everybody, all the villains are trying to escape, but they can't really. They can't find a way to get out of the rubble. Their heroes are right there helping out with All Might fighting against All for One. And now Bakugo is like back there fighting against the villains and try against self-save. And right there, Ida was holding everybody and did a reciprocal burst. Sorry. And straight into the battle of the smaller time villains. And Zuko, Kirishima, and Todoroki start fighting some of the villains. Ida and Momo pretty much grab a Bakugo and take him as fast as they can. Because they're a distraction. Can't freaking say any words. Okay, here we go. So in the fight of All for One and One for All, they're doing that battle. Right now, it's up where All for One is actually making his quirk arm. And the first hit, it connected. And All for One, All Might is actually pretty down. Still kneeling down and charging up All for One for All. At this point, Zuko and Kirishima were still fighting, but the Todoroki froze them in place and said, "I take care of them." And Zuko rushed in the middle of the very battle and stand right in front of All Might and said, "No worries, I'm here." With his smile grin. Right now, the heroes and the camera crew is watching this going on. And it's quiet, way too quiet. And Ome is telling Izuku to run. This is his fight and his fight alone. And Izuku like turn around and tell him a number one hero can fight. I'll protect you, like everybody should. It gave a bit shivers to everyone that heard that, to know that there's someone that would actually risk their life to protect the number one hero, even if he's down. So it gave some of the heroes courage to fight and go into their fight, into the battle, and try to help All Might. So Gran Torino, Best Genius are fighting against All for One for All. No, All for One. Sorry, getting them messed up. And then they're fighting, and Zuko actually gets ready and start jumping, and he start jumping just like Gran Torino. Everybody's seeing this and seeing that he's a copy, he's fighting against the villain, you know, along with two other pros. Gran Torino got hit straight on his face by the villain. Sorry, just can't say his name. No, All for One, right in his face with his other arm, and it hit a Best Genius and made him back off, flying further away. And sadly, they are knocked out. But Zuko is still there, and still he's moving around All for One, and every time All for One take a hit, he tried to hit Zuko, but he can't because he's moving too fast. He's using other quirks, any of them that he can think of that long range, and just barely is missing him. And Zuko is getting really tired at this point. And he took a glance of All Might, and All Might is getting ready. He can go close to it. And Zuko pretty much is jumping higher and higher. And All for One thinks he's running away, so he's charging up a blast for Zuko, and there's like a kind of like an airwind slash up, and it pushes Zuko higher. It left some marks on him, and some cuts as well, because the fuse is a quirk fuse, so mixed with some metal and rocks, but mostly the wind that slashed through his back is pushing him further up. And Zuko said, and he screamed in pain, but he opened his eyes, see all the threads, and grab on one, and he's holding on, and he's looking it down, charging up All for One, no, One for All, a full counter. He's kind of like swinging on the bare rope around and around, just to get up more speed. And right when he is about to, he let go up higher, and jump. He jumped on one of his threads to another, and doing a zigzag down to all for one for all, one all for one. Sorry, he's jumping faster and faster, where he actually makes a sonic boom, breaking the sound barrier, and the 100% smash at All for One. Sorry. And All for One, it took this. He took it. He's still standing, but he's kind of dazed right now, and he's looking around, saying, "Where's that kid?" And right when he turned around, All Might, with a 1,000,000% smash ready to go, saying, "United States smash," and hitting All for One. All the heroes are watching this. The camera crew seeing this. The villains are seeing this, but they somehow escape using some fire. And the kids, they see it too. Right when Zuko stepped down, everybody is screaming and yelling that they won, but with a cost. All Might is standing up, but in his small form, and breathing heavily, telling All for One that he's finished. At this point, All Might was about to kill him. Actually, um, Zuko pretty much did thread jail. Yeah, and stopped it. And Zuko pretty much he stopped it and stopped All for One. He can't really move. He's healing, but he can't move. And so Zuko walked up and pat on All Might's shoulder and said, "Don't. We need more answers. And also look around. We can't do it." Mm. Oh, in his fit of rage, All Might, seeing how All for One killed his mentor and killed so many people, he really wanted to kill him, but he can't do it because he's the symbol of peace. I'm adding this side on. And so Zuko, with a wind up punch, All Might did, he pointed up and said, "Plus Ultra." So that scene's in. Everybody's pretty much done. The villains somehow got away, but Bakugo and everybody else are safe. They're getting questioned, but right when they're getting questions, All Might pretty much steps in and tells them, "No problem. I brought them in. I thought we are gonna need some more help, so I brought in the ones I trusted. So any questions you have for them, you can ask me." And All for One is taken and completely strapped in with two other villains, and they're going to the very top of the top prisons. So they're getting questions. The kids got out scot free, but was told by All Might Gran Torino to not do that again. So and they kind of nod and like start running away. They have made it to the dorms. Now for All Might, he finished with all the questions and answering them. He actually went to the jail to question All for One. At first, it seemed like it's not able there. He's not able to get any answers from him. Then he had an idea. Maybe he should get someone else to force it out. So he leaves the prison and go to the dorms. Over at the dorms, it'd be like an hour past. Everybody pretty much finished asking questions, and Zuko pretty much tell Bakugo that he set up his room for him. And Bakugo said, okay. Where is it?" Zuko's pointing at it. It's right next to his room, so it's all good. And he opens and see, yeah, exactly how I would do it. Then he looks at his bookshelf and the behind it and see his books. And Zuko said, "Oh, so I, mm, you know." And Bakugo said, "What?" And he's looking through all his books, making sure it's all in alphabetic order. And he finds one book missing. And Bakugo said, "Deku, where is that book?" And it was like opening up his palm and making some explosion. Said, "Don't worry, I'm just reading it for a bit. I make sure no one knows what I'm reading. Don't worry, I will give it back probably." And he looked at Raka, and she said, "Oh, about 5." And he said, "In about 5 days." And Bakugo said, "You better not ruin it, you shitty nerd." But everybody pretty much is getting ready to sleep. Zuko is pretty much on the couch, right, sitting next to Suyu and watching the TV. And then they heard a knock. Well, it was like a bell. And All Might came in. All Might pretty much wanted to talk with Zuko alone. And Zuko, well, Suyu pretty much said, "Oh, okay, All Might." And she gave him a kiss and went to sleep and went to her room. So they're talking. Midoriya and Zook and All Might is talking. And All Might asked him the question if he could help me with getting some information from the villain, all for one. Zuko said, yeah, I can do it, but can we do it tomorrow? I'll use up a little bit too much of my quirk today. And he's holding on one of his arms on the part where he got slashed through. It was already healed up, but he just feels the pain still. So the next day comes, this time early in the morning. Since everything was like that, they still have another week of off. So they decided to do some games and to relax. This time with everybody around. Baku goes back and see the games and not this shit again. And Kirishima said, "What do you mean, Baku bro?" And Baku said, "Well, in their form of torture, with quotation marks, he said these two villains just kept playing the same game every damn day, and I got real tired real quick." But Izuku said, "Oh, no problem. We can play other games," and they do. Enjoy it. Start singing along with the song. So everybody's pretty much enjoying this time. Around up around lunchtime, Zuko was caught in the office with and no one else. So Zuko pretty much tells them that no worries. I know what's going to happen. It's going to be about 5 hours until then, and he's pretty much walking away. And he tells Uraraka to do one of the scenes in the book. Um, you know which he pretty much said, whatever one you think of good, and do it would be perfect. I can't really think of any romance books or romance anime right now, but hmm, that'll be later around lunch. So everybody's pretty much. Let's go to Uraraka and Bakugo's point of view right now. Uraraka is actually making some food, and she's baking a. She's helping out with all the girls, some of the guys with baking. Bakugo's just sitting there watching them, making sure that he don't make a mess. He's the mother of the whole thing, and she kind of and Uraraka accidentally, with quotation marks, accidentally grabbed on one of the pans and that was way too hot, and she dropped the pan and kind of screamed, or everybody heard this, and Bakugo was the only one there at the time, and grabbed Uraraka's hand and put it on the water to cool it down. And Uraraka kind of blushing, and Bakugo said, "It's not like that. I'm just making sure your hand won't get burned." And Uraraka say a certain line. I'm not gonna say it. You guys have imagination. You can do that. And for that very second, and for those time. And Bakugo hears this, and he remembers where that came from. So he after that little interaction, he asks Uraraka if she has my book. If and Bakugo was pretty much saying, "So do you have my book?" And she said, yeah," moving her hands. Bakugo said, "Why do you have my book? I thought shitty nerd." Oh, and Uraraka said, "Yeah." I asked him if I could read his book, and I didn't know it was yours of sorts, but and she started asking questions about the book and how many pretty much she enjoyed the book so much. Bakugo actually is answering some questions on some plot holes the book had. And Baku pretty much tell her, if you want, and he's like rubbing his head, if you want, you can come into my room and read the other books. And Rock kind of like smiling in the inside, kind of blushing on the outside, and said, um, yeah, that'd be great. And this, so let's move on to Zuko's point of view. He's walking into the office. Nezu pretty much is sitting there saying, "Oh, Glenn, great, you came," and All Might's there. So Zuko pretty much was given directions on how to do certain things by Nezu, and what kind of questions we want to find want answered. Zuko understood this and agrees. So Zuko and All Might is going to the prison. And for Zuko first time, he needs to practice on someone. So they bring in one of the other villains, not the big one, but the other villains. And they bring her in. She's sitting down, just waiting. She kind of have a dull look, but she's and All Might said, "You're free to go." And so Zuko said, okay. What kind of questions should I ask? And All Might said, whatever you want, find out. You can do it. Talk to her like a regular person. Some villains just need some talking to. And Zuko said, okay, as he's nodding his head. And he walked into the door and looked at her and said, Miss. And he's kind of like looking on the file, saying, Miss Toga. I see that you have a blood quirk. And she said, yes. It was like her bubbly attitude right now. And Zuko said, may I know what your quirk do? She said, I guess I just need some of your blood. With a very creepy grin. And Zuko said, oh, that's fine. So he just like gripped his hands and without with Toga not knowing, Zuko was like grabbing on one of his threads. And it started bleeding. And said, how much? And she kind of like leaned forward and she's technically in handcuffed, but enough where she can reach out and just like touched the blood on the table, licked it, and said, and did that. She explains her quirk because she knows she's right now in prison. In a way, she can get out. Zuko's still talking to her, and Zuko got tired of it, the whole thing. He said, oh, fine. Toga, okay, I'm going to ask you some questions. Can you please answer them? And Toga said, yeah, sure. What do you want? And Zuko said, first, why did you become a villain? Toga is not answering. She got a very serious look. And she pretty much nodding her head to side, pretty much saying no. And Zuko said, can you answer this? She doesn't want to. Zuko said, okay, I'm going to do something and you're going to show me. And so he does his area effect. Now Toga can see it. And Zuko said, this is my quirk, as he's plucking on one of her threads. And Zuko said, well, my quirk, as he's pulling down one of her strings. And Zuko said, with my quirk, I can make you say it. It could be painful, could not be. I will never know until I let go. And she's very confused, doesn't know what she got herself into. She was about to say, still say no, and Zuko let go and start. And he pulled on one of her loops and pretty much said, "It's not your fault. It's not your fault." It's in this Zuko made it so hard where it start yelling in her head, and she's kind of like, oh, covering her ears and saying, "Make it stop, make it stop." And Zuko pretty much stopped the vibration for that very string. And she kind of looked around and asked, "What did you do to me?" And Zuko said, "Well, what I did was to let it go. I have you, well, get through the physical pain and mental pain you have gone through. If you allow me, I can help you fix that. Who knows, maybe I'm able to help you get out and actually become a hero instead of a villain, as I see here." She's kind of worried at this point now. She doesn't know what to do and ask, I'll answer every question, just help out my friend that came with me. I'll answer everything. And Zuka said, "Oh, you're a friend. I believe his name was Twice." She said, "Yes. Help my friend first, and I'll answer everything." Zuko said, "Okay." And he looks to the window, and All Might pretty much agrees to this. So he brings in Twice and take out Antoka, Toka, Toda, Toka, and she's going to herself. Twice is doing his usual, "I'm not gonna talk until you give me something." Well, I can talk, I guess, probably, depending on the answer. No, I'm going, no. And they're arguing, and he's arguing to himself. And Zuko kind of like look at his threads, is looking to his past, seeing what's going on. Zuko at this point is very comfortable. And so he kind of like stands up, walk to Twice, and ask, "So your quirk is twice or double?" And Twice said, "Yeah, it's." He pretty much explained what his quirk can do, and Zuko said, "So can you do it to yourself?" And he said, "No, with personal reasons, I do." And Zuko said, "Can you do it to yourself? I did not say you should do it." And he said, "Should we tell him?" No. Um, I did do it to myself, and he's actually he actually went through a breakdown. He's crying, not knowing if he's a real person or one of his doubles, and terrifying. Zuko's at this point pulling on one of his strings to make him tell the truth. And Zuko said, "Oh, okay." So he's kind of charging up a punch and said, "And you said one single punch will like make them disappear, right? They're not very durable." And Twice said, "Yeah, they can uh, they can only take about a few punches like a normal person." They will, and Zuko said, "Oh, that's great." And he, as Twice kind of like look around, asking, "What's all these threads for?" Zuko said, "Oh, you'll see." And he did a smash right at and Twice. Twice is very shocked and saying, what did you do that for?" That, and he's like touching his arm, saying, "Oh, damn, that thing hurt." And Zuko asked, "So, are you a double?" And Twice said, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I can't tell the difference. And Zook said, so your doubles don't last long. With that punch, did you feel the pain? Twice said, yeah, that hurt like hell. What the heck, man? I was just answering your questions. And Zuko said, and he pulled out a chair and started hitting him about 3 times and said, now, can you feel those pain? That? And Twice is saying, yeah, but screaming this time. All Might was about to walk in, but Zuko uh, pretty much shut the door and made the door close, stays closed. And All Might doesn't know what he's doing. Toga is actually standing there as well. I thought I did say in the jail cell, but no, she's right there standing and getting really pissed that Zuko is doing this. And she's trying to get in, and she's like banging on the window. At the last hit with the chair, Zuko pretty much put it down and said, so, are you still a double? And Twice said, I just don't know what you're talking about. And Zuko said, well, like you said, your double can't really withstand a lot of physical pain. With your past doubles, how many of those can they take? Twice said one, and they're done. And Zuko said, oh, so I guess you're you. And Twice said, I'm me? What do you mean? And he think my doubles, and he's saying this out loud, my doubles, they can't take a hit. I'm, and he's kind of like touched his head, and he's like, oh, I'm bleeding. And he's freaking out that he's gonna disappear. He's gonna disappear. And so he's holding his head, hands on his head, and saying, I'm disappearing. A few minutes passed by. Zuko's tap on his shoulder said, see, you're you. Now double, you're you. And Zuko pretty much did a wave at All Might and saying, let her in. And she came in pushing Zuko and grabbing Twice and kind of crying. Zuko, and she's pretty much saying, you, what the? And Zuko said, hold on. Twice, are you you? And he said, I am me. I am not a double. And he kind of like grabbing on Toga and saying, I'm not a double. Getting happier and happier. He's not a double. And Zuko pretty much walk out and let them have their moment. So All Might pretty much is walking down the hall with Zuko, and the officers in the jail is supervising the other two in their room. And All Might says, so what did you do? And Zuko said, well, we give them a few days getting real comfortable with all this interrogation stuff. And All Might said, so what exactly did you figure out? And Zuko said, oh, the Twice guy, he used his quirks so often onto himself. They started fighting over each other, saying who's real. And one hit after another, and he got scared that he was the only one, but he thought he was a double, so he might disappear if something happened to him. but he's not double, so he's needs some time to process this, and he might actually talk after I helped him fix his problems. The girl, she just wanted to help her friend, so helping her, helping him, helping her, and we'll get some answers out of them sooner or later. So I'm going to end it at this point. I have not thought of how it's going to work, but yeah, sorry about this. Sorry.